Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Universal Furniture. Before I turn it over to the Sisters and Company and Lawson's Dream Team and Amanda Edwards, who is part of our designer concierge team here at Universal, I wanted to highlight a few things that we have going on in the showroom this market. We've introduced two new collections, Dwell, which is located on floor 2, as well as an addition to our modern collection on floor 3. We also have some really nice new pieces in our special order upholstery and ready to ship, which is located here on floor 1. While you're here in the showroom, please stop by the front desk and check in and grab a scanner. With the scanner, you can go around our showroom scanning all of your favorite pieces, and as you leave, you'll get a wish list emailed to you with all the pieces while you scan them in the showroom. We also have a designer's lounge that's located out in the lobby. This designer's lounge is sponsored by Rue Magazine, Regina Andrews Lighting, and Krypton Fabric. You can get a hair touch-up, you can grab a drink, relax, catch up with friends, or check emails. It's a dedicated space here in Universal just for designers. So I just want to Amanda does such a good job being a connection for designers here at Universal, and this is the first time she spoke on this panel, and she's going to be moderating this beautiful group of ladies. And we love Amanda here. If you don't know her, get to know her. She's a great resource here in our designer program. So help me give a warm welcome to this team, and thank you again for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for coming in again. We welcome you to Universal and we'll get started. So our first topic is lifestyle trends by generation and their impact on interior design. So ladies.
I'm Barbara, and I'm going to start.
Okay.
But some of the trends that we've seen that sort of goes across the generations that's influencing designer furniture, one of them being function. A lot of the generations have different needs, but functionality is a big one. Sustainability, especially with the younger group, the Gen Z. They're definitely into more sustainable products. They're more eco-friendly. And then also, coming out of COVID, more people are wanting their homes to be more calm and relaxing. And so wellness is definitely something that is a trend that is forcing furniture to rethink a few things. And that's just a few of the things that I've noticed in the market.
And I'm so glad that we're talking about this topic today. So Laura and I are on our team, and we've been looking at this topic for years because we definitely see differences between the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, the millennials or Gen Y, and then the Gen Z. And so it's really something that as designers, we need to be really well aware. What we've seen is that people's background, what was going on in the world when they were young or young adults, as well as their current lifestyles, are really things that drive their decisions in terms of how they design. So for example, baby boomers today, they're retiring, they don't have much. Some of them are on fixed income, some of us, I should say, fixed incomes. And or they're, they have to make different decisions than they might have 20 years ago. So it's really kind of important to see where people are in their generation these days, because it varies from like 20 years ago when they were our core business.
Oh, okay. One of the other trends that we've seen in terms of how to decorate for different generations definitely has to do a lot with now having social media. And that has influenced a lot of our Gen Xers, not Gen Xers and Millenniums and Gen Z, I would say. Because one of the things that, baby boomers see was they look for their information through different resources than what the Gen Xers and Millenniums do. They're mostly on TikTok or Instagram, and that's how they get a lot of their information, and that influences them a lot in terms of what they like and don't like, and what they decide to do with their interior design.
Okay, so now they've taken and answered most of my questions that I had already, so we may be done already. So if we want to leave, but okay, I've got a few more questions that they didn't answer, so. So how are hobbies and personal interests influencing the customization of living spaces and different generations?
I can start. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm with the Lawson Dream Team. So, is it like hobbies and different
Hobbies and personal interests.
personal interests? We see across the generations, people are giving more attention to their hobbies. They are being focused on mental health, so they are definitely prioritizing that. As far as like baby boomers, I don't know. I want to talk about millennials. I'm a millennial.
She said I want to talk about
So as millennials and Gen Xers, we tend to be very focused on our health as well, more than, I don't want to say more than ever, but especially the pandemic when we couldn't go to the gym, we couldn't have a place to meditate or do yoga or whatever. Now we have made in our homes a dedicated space for these type of things, so we can focus on ourselves. I don't know if anybody else.
Well, when it comes to designing spaces around the different hobbies that we see, what we'll find is, especially with, like she mentioned, baby boomers, because typically they're going to have a larger home, so they may have more of a dedicated space. So if they have a craft room or sewing room or something like that that they may have, or they may have a media space, when you get into the generation a little bit younger, such as the Y, with them, their spaces may need to be more craft towards their children. So we find that playrooms and things like that is something that they're more interested in. And then also, they are one of those groups that are sort of what we call the sandwich generation, because they may have multi-generations, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, that are living under the same roof. And so those spaces have to be designed with them in mind as well. And then, of course, with the millenniums, of course, they are just may have very young children. And so, again, their home is, everything is usually generated a lot around their children. They like for the children to have more play space and they like more open floor plan so that they can all be together. And so they may want to incorporate being able to play games in the family room. And so furniture that has flip down tables or having big sectionals is very important to that generation. And for the Gen Z, of course, they're a lot younger. They don't have as much income typically. They may be living in apartments, and so their space is a lot smaller. So you have to really think about using that space for many different functions. They typically are not going to have a space for just a room for just one purpose. Most of their spaces are going to be multi-purpose. So we have to really think about the furniture and things that can be used in more than one way when it comes to that generation.
So when we started working remotely during COVID, how can you provide examples of how career trends such as remote work and influencing home office designs across generations? How does that work, or how does that change from the millennials to the baby boomers? And because baby boomers didn't work from home, and so now we're working from home a lot more. I know we here at the office, we work 3 and 2. So how do you incorporate that into a living space?
So first off, like baby boomers, even though some of them are retired, like you said, they might not be working at home. However, they still want a space where they can pay their bills or get away and read a book or plan their week. So these are definitely spaces that can be like a study, an office. And for millennials and Gen X, definitely people are working more remotely. nowadays. So they definitely want a dedicated space where they can just keep their work life separate from their personal life. They don't want their work life to impinge on their personal life. So we've seen a lot that while before it was just one little space, for example, like a kitchen nook, especially for baby boomers, they had like a little kitchen nook with a little chair, and that was their office space. Now it's become more of a room. Same with millennials and Gen X's. It's a dedicated room for their office to take in Zoom calls, to take regular calls. So, and even when there's like two spouses or two partners, they may even each need their own office. They are taking calls, or Zoom calls, so they need to be separate from each other. So we've seen a lot where both partners have their own offices, and therefore we have two offices at a single home.
Yeah, we were talking about that as we were driving down, that in the 80s and 90s, the home office was that one little desk that was built in between the cabinetry and the kitchen, and that was called the home office, because as you said, Amanda, nobody was working from home. We didn't really even have the internet at that point, and so, no, I mean, it's true, sorry. But nowadays, with people working at home, much of the time, or most of their time, those home offices have to be completely outfitted functionally as if it were in a commercial space. So they need that additional storage, that additional display, as Laura was saying, the multi-monitor. We have clients with 3 monitors on their desks and things like that. So it's much more of a functional requirement, and much more function than 30 years ago with the baby boomers.
Ms. Jennifer?
And I know that for me, my son and his wife both had to work from home during COVID, and they had young kids as well at home. So it's very challenging for them. And so with the younger generation, they're able to adapt better to things like that, opposed to the baby boomers. We still have to have our own privacy. We have to have a dedicated space, because that's just how we are. But younger people don't mind working from a dining room table, because most of them are these days working on laptops, and being able to figure out how to outfit their home to make it functional for them, and for them to have privacy, and to have a play area for kids that may be in the next room. We have to consider all that. But when you're doing that, you have to also consider what generation they are, because they have different likes and what they need. Whereas, for a young person, they may want a cocktail table in a living room, and they have where you can do a cocktail table with a lifter, and they can pop their laptop on it. They're very flexible. And then for Gen X or baby boomers, they're going to want more of a dedicated space. They're going to want a space where they can have a desk, they can have privacy. But I think when COVID happened, we weren't doing as many home offices with all the different types of people and generations and needs. And we learned a lot during that period. And we did do a lot of home offices. We even worked on a project where we had to incorporate an entire basement for a client who wanted to teach her kids from home after COVID. And so we built an office there for her, their play area, as well as their school. It was all dedicated for them to learn and for her to work. And she taught them. And it was so great. And it all happened during COVID. So I think COVID did change a lot of that. And we learned a lot. And now everybody's doing it. And then nobody wants to go back to work.
So how do different generations approach the challenge of balancing style, functionality, and budget when making design decisions?
Well, like you said, with the different generations, for instance, starting with baby boomers, they typically like more traditional style or transitional for the most part. They also do care a lot more about quality. They are ones that buy furniture and items for a long time. They're not looking to turn over and buy something new in a few years. So they're more investment oriented when it comes to their homes and what they put in it. And so they generally think about that when they're purchasing. So, and because a lot of times with the baby boomers, they're either going to be someone that may be totally retired or is someone that still is a high earner, but they haven't retired yet because people are retiring much later in life. They're not retiring at the moment they turn 55, and so they're working much longer. And so you will see that they still want, this high quality, and they're willing to pay for it. When it comes to the Generation Y, they are just really now moving into home ownership. And so they are really, they're really struggling with being able to afford a home and being able to furnish it the way they would like to. However, they also are very busy, so they do like to have someone to help them to do it, and they want a more cohesive look. So they are really moving into that space where they want professional help, and they will assign a budget to it as needed. But they're also somewhat still dealing with some of them also maybe taking care of a parent and children at the same time, so their budget could be taxed on that. The millenniums are similar in that situation. They usually have younger children, however, because they're a lot younger. Some of them are just really starting to move into home ownership. So they really a little bit more thrifty. They're going to want to incorporate vintage items as well as some new pieces. But they do like a little bit more modern feel, whereas the Generation Y likes more mid-century modern and have a tendency to go towards that elevation. They all like things that are personal and can be personalized. And that's why custom furniture is attractive to them, because they want something that's unique. And so that's how you can get a unique piece, is by being able to customize it. And they want that. For the Gen Z, of course, they're just really, they're not clients. They're not clients yet. But they, we're working with them. We're working with them.
They're not there yet. They're getting
Come back in 10 years.
few that can do it.
Yeah, typically they're not going to have the disposable income to really invest in a lot, but they do like things that are very bold, and they like like I said, more multifunctional type pieces. Thank you. And so their budget is going to be a lot tighter when it comes to furnishings and things like that of their home. They're going to try to get their parents to give them stuff. So that's that generation.
I'm going to plug in right here. Universal does do custom upholstery.
Yes.
And we're at 6 to 8 weeks on delivery right now. So just in
And
case.
Universal does a lot of multifunctional
We
pieces
do
for
lots of
offices.
things. So we're here. We sell the entire bag here at Universal. So just a plug for us.
We're finding, not that I'm trying to plug Universal, but now that you mention it, but we are finding, like with the Gen X, so they're the ones that are after the boomers. They are, hold on, let me not lie here. They're 44 to 59 years old. So they're at the peak of their earning at this point. They're between the boomers and the millennials. So we have some nice Gen Xers that we're working with in terms of they're used to a little bit of DIY, so they're a little afraid of the design process. They're like, really, what's a designer going to do to me? But once they get a taste of it, they are addicted, and they're willing to go into those finer points. So Universal fits perfectly, actually, with the Gen Z. And that's the generation we've been talking about, that people focus on boomers and millennials, but Gen X, though, that age group is really where we should be focused. That should be our core, because the boomers are either dying or they're on fixed income. But and that's my generation, so I know from personal experience. But they're the core. They're at their prime thing, and once they get a taste of custom design, working with a professional, they're hooked. And we find they might start with a single project, a single room, with a smaller budget. But once we accomplish that beautifully, they're like on it. So we're looking in our business to say, oh, that needs to be a greater focus for
That
us.
was going to be my next one.
Oh,
is
sorry.
Can you discuss how the generation attitudes towards DIY and professional design influences their choices?
Well, like as far as baby boomers, they
You're
are.
speaking on that baby boomer thing, aren't you?
Huh?
You're on baby
Oh, I
boomer.
keep saying that. I don't know. I'm so well.
She works with one.
Oh no. Okay. So they're less likely to do DIYers. They tend to get a little frustrated when they can't figure out something or can't find something online. So they're just like, let's just get it done. Let's just hire a professional. And Gen Xers are somewhat in between millennials. Millennials, they date between millennials and boomers. They are, like Lynn said, they're more likely to do a little bit of DIY. However, because where they're at, they might not have time. They have kids. They might be taking care of a parent, so they don't have time. So in just like and millennials, they do like to do DIYers. I mean, projects, and because online shopping is so readily available, and also social media, there are so many tutorials out there teach you how to do it, is so they are more likely to do that. However, one thing about millennials is that while they may not have money right now, they will inherit their parents' money. It's like, how much was it that they're gonna
68 trillion within the next decade they're going to inherit.
Yes.
Trillion, not billion.
Trillion.
Trillion.
With a T.
Yeah.
So while, yeah, like I said, while they're not our ideal clients at the moment, we definitely want to keep an eye on them. We want to get them out of that DIY mentality and show them that it's okay to hire a designer. Like, yeah, you can do it yourself, but a designer is so much better. You know.
Yeah, and I would like to say, I have 4 kids, so I have all the generations. So, and in terms of the DIY, I have my son loves to do DIY projects. He's a millennial. And I tell him all the time, why are you taking that on? You should hire professionals so you'll have more time to do what you need to do to make money, opposed to you spending your whole week or weekend working on a DIY. And he's like, oh no, I just like saving money. I don't want to give my money away. And I'm like, okay, you're giving it away. But they think that way, that, I can do this myself. I don't want to spend the money on it. And so therefore they tend to do a lot of DIY projects, and they're constantly looking at TikTok and social media, all the how-tos, and that's what they do. And so they don't look at a designer the same way as a Gen X would, in terms of what they offer. So you have to kind of come at them from a different angle. And like I said, one of the things that I normally talk to them about is the fact that, your time is money. So you should spend your time doing what you do best and let a professional come in and do what they do best. And then you won't have all these costly mistakes that you have to keep doing over and over and over again. I personally witnessed that. So, yeah.
Okay, so what marketing approaches are more effective in appealing to the unique interior design needs and preferences for the generations?
Well, as far as marketing goes, based on the generation, it's starting with the baby boomers, and I guess I'll start there because one of them, but with baby boomers, where they tend to receive most of their marketing is with traditional markets for the most part. So things like magazines and emails, those still work with them. They still open up emails. So they are one that you can still use that type marketing for. And then when you start moving into the Gen Y, they are going to be one that are going to be more on like Instagram, Pinterest, and so you would want to target those type of avenues. Millenniums are going to be moving into Instagram and TikTok. You're going to see a little bit more on that. And of course, the Gen Z is definitely on TikTok. That's pretty much their life. They're on there all the time. But the different aspects of them, depending on whichever market you want to attract, the thing is just to dial in your marketing to fit that customer. For instance, as I said, with baby boomers, they want more quality. They're thinking of things like that. So when you're generating an ad or putting something together, you want to speak to the needs of each generation. So wherever they are, that's what you want your marketing to pinpoint. So the avenue that you use may be different, but the message need to be a message that zones in on that age group.
Ms. Lynn?
Oh, okay. No, and that's really true. Like especially Gen Xers and millennials, by like using social media and showing them why hiring a professional is so beneficial, and we can approach it or appeal to them through storytelling, through appealing to their emotions, or even like showing behind the scenes of the process, like how much it takes, or all the time and all the work and all the people that it takes to get this room, like not just one like finished space. It's beautiful, great, but like how much work it gets to that, it gets to have that. I don't know, but anyways. So yeah, they can start seeing, oh wow, this is what I need to hire a designer. So that's another reason why videos, reels, even TikToks, but reels really help them visualize what is the behind the scenes, all the work that gets done. Yeah.
Yeah, because I follow the sisters on Instagram, and you actually see how the room was before, and they tear it all apart. And Ariel is their person over there that she does a great job. And all of a sudden you see the room is all put together and you see these beautiful pictures and you're like, okay, well, it went from this to this. But all I'm seeing at the end is this is, okay, well, how did they get to this? Yes. When it was brown and it was yucky colored, it was a mossy green, and then all of a sudden it's these bright oranges, and it's just a beautiful design. And I think I don't know how to do any of that, but I try to replicate it, but I'm learning, so. So Ms. Lynn, do you have?
No, I was just going to say that along with all of that, so the millennials, the Gen, what is it? Gen Y. Yeah, they're more experiential, so they want the experience. So the whole process has got to be something that is really pleasurable for them, because we're fighting for their dollars too. They're they're as interested in traveling and dining as they are in furnishing their home. And so we're fighting for those dollars in a way that's new. And so the whole experience of how we work with them and have them experience the process is really, really important. And then they need to understand the end result is way better with us than they're going to try to do on their own. They're going to fail like Jennifer's son and everybody that we know who tries to do it on their own. So that's something we want to really promote.
I need to hire someone too because I've failed a bunch. So
I'm going to give you our card.
So what are the popular interior design styles from the generation to generation? I know baby boomers did the traditional wingback chair and the tufted sofa. And I know that Gen X's and Gen Y and Z, they don't really care for that. They care for more of a relaxed fit. So how does that play into, how do you take someone from being a baby boomer to trying to bring them up to current?
Well, I think that, especially with baby boomers, you're right, they do tend to be a little bit more traditional or transitional. And, traditional, we try to bring them more transitional. But what we try to do is make sure that we not take away everything they love, because that style they do love, but be able to give them a new, fresh look, which we call new traditional, where we're adding a lot of modern elements to it. So it gives them a fresh new look. One of the things I found with all of my baby boomers that I'm constantly going back to redo their homes, one of the number one things they always say they want it to be light and bright and airy. And, you know, so I think they're kind of getting away from all of the stuffiness. And even with window treatment designs, less is more. They want more simplicity. They're over all of the swags and all the 3 layers and 4 layers. So I think that it's easy to move them into a more updated look. Whereas your Zen X is going to be more mid-century modern. You know, that's pretty much their style. And then, of course, the Millenniums and Gen Z are definitely more modern. And they like things that are less. They don't like too much. They like simplicity. They like more things that are organic. They like plants, you know. They like bright colors. You know, they really do like a whole lot of different things in that generation.
We've had pretty good, I want to say it modestly, but so we've had pretty good success helping our boomer clients and the older Gen Xers, like Jennifer saying, keep what they love to a certain extent, but move them into more luxe. So it's like gold leaf and reflective surfaces and velvets and things that are cleaner in terms of the line, but the textures are there. And so they're beautiful and luxurious. And so it's not like, you know, kind of a standard transitional look that's a little bit more flat. It's transitional, but it's with luxe. And we enjoy that too. And so, and that's the other thing we try to do is do our best work. Our best work is things that we love, not just what our clients love, but finding clients that love what we love. And so that's our brand and that's our look. And we've had some decent success with that.
So how can interior design companies use generational insight to develop engaging content and promotions that resonate with their target audience?
Well, I think one of the things can do is, like I mentioned before, is just meet them where they are and talk to them in the language in which they speak. And so when you're talking to, Gen Y, you know what's important to them. And so you want to make sure that you are putting your marketing pieces and everything in places. For instance, you know that if you're going to be on social media, they're more than less going to be on Instagram or Pinterest. Then they're going to be on Facebook. You're going to have baby boomers that's going to be more on Facebook than they're going to be on the other social media site. So there's certain ones that's going to be in different places. But also, as Amanda mentioned, Instagram or just social media in general is great for designers to showcase their work, but also to show the process, like she mentioned, because people like seeing the process and they really like to see how things evolve. And so taking them along, people like for people to be more authentic. And so when you take them along the process and you show them how certain things are done, to me, I think they feel like it's more authentic. And so therefore, they're more to gravitate toward you for the services. So even though they may have started looking on social media because they want to do it themselves, once they meet a person and they feel they relate to them and they feel like they're more authentic and they see how they go through the process, then that may be someone that they want to connect with to help them with their project. Because as we mentioned earlier, making mistakes on these projects can be costly. So it's a lot better to invest in having someone with expertise to use your dollars, make them more effective, and give you a better outcome. And so being able to just meet them where they are and let them know that, so because, we only get, think about social media, you only get a few seconds. I mean, it's instant. You have to have something there that's going to pull them in where they're going to look or read or look. Baby boomers read more. That's why they're on Facebook. They'll take a post and read it. It doesn't even have to have a picture, okay? That's not happening on the other ones. Instagram, it needs to be, it's better if it's a reel.
So you don't
stop.
have to read nothing.
If it's a reel and something's moving, when they move it down, then they may stop and look a couple seconds, But if it's static pictures, you might get them, you might not. So that doesn't work as well. And definitely on TikTok, it's got to be moving, it's got to be interesting, it's got to be something to catch them right then. So depending on what medium you're working on and what you're trying to showcase and who you're trying to attract will help dictate some of that, what type of media you're going to use, what type of ads you're going to put out there, and what you want to put forward.
Okay, so what role do online reviews, social media, and influencer recommendations play in a design purchase or hiring you? So if a designer is, an influencer is online and they're giving reviews and they're saying this is the new hot thing, how does that play when you have someone come to you and say they want to hire you and this is what they were recommending? Do you always take the recommendation, or are you more or less putting your own recommendation on it and say, well, let's try it this way, and not just because they're an influencer, we're not going to do it that way?
Well, while the recommendation and the influencer ideas are great, we really try to lead our clients to what they like, what their style, and not just trends, because trends just come and go. I mean, you do want to be current, but trends come and go. However, we try to have our clients design, or we'll do their design on what they love, what makes them happy. Those, influencers, they have, well, they are promoting a product, and that is their main, I guess, motive, you would say. Like, they want to promote a product, but what we want to do, we're looking out for our clients' best interest, what makes them happy, and this is their own space. They're going to live there. That the influencer's not going to live in their home.
I was just going to say, a lot of the motivation for our clients anyway is, trying to think of a better term than showing off to their friends, but it is, it's like showing their success, showing their hard work, showing how they've worked for 10, 20, 30 decades, and now they want to help, have others enjoy that with them. Maybe that's a nicer way to say it.
Share the space.
Sharing spaces. So, and part of that is then uniqueness. You don't want to have what everybody else has. You want to have something that, and we do that, like Barbara and Jennifer and Laura, what's your personality? You deserve this. You're a great person. You're exotic. You're this, you're that, you're eclectic. And so let's have your home reflect how fabulous you are. And it's true, we do believe that. And so you don't want what everybody else has. You want what reflects how great you are.
So how do you design a home around a child that is, or someone that's taking care of an elderly parent, but they're not wanting to bring the parent's lifestyle over, but they want to make the parent feel comfortable in their home as well? But how do you bring both lifestyles together to be cohesive in the same space?
Well, I think the approach to doing that is the approach we take to almost any project. First of all, is talking to the client, investigating, seeing what they like, what they want, just really listening and trying to figure out what their needs are, because that's what we're there for. We're there to help their home reflect their personality, but also satisfy their needs. So if this parent that's with them, and I've had this happen a lot with, if they've got someone coming in, and let's say it's an elderly parent, and now the parent they've got a bedroom, we've got to make sure it's on the main floor because they don't want them to have to use the stairs. Now we need to take this bathroom and revamp this bathroom for this parent that's moving in. So now we have to think about all the things like, a low step, a high toilet, grab bars, things like that, that's going to make it better for them, but at the same time, still make it look cohesive with the rest of the client's home, because this is still their home. They've got the parents coming in, but they still want a certain thing there. And the same thing if they've got children, whether it's small children, and so if it's a new baby that's coming into the house and how they want to do the nursery, or how they want to have that reflected, or how they want to have a play space for their children in the house, but they still like a tidy house. If they're one that, we may have to look at doing furniture in fabrics that have washability to them, because now you've got smaller children. So they still want that look, but they want to make sure that it works for their lifestyle. So there's a lot of products that we have to take in consideration. One of the key things that we hadn't mentioned yet, but one of the things that influence a lot of what we do now in product and in design is technology. Everyone, and it doesn't matter which one of the age groups it is, it's technology. Moving from, whether it's the automated shades, or moving from the lift beds, or moving from recliners or swivels, or want to make sure that they can plug their phone in. Phones and iPods and stuff, they got to go everywhere. So you got to be able to charge them, charging stations, everything, Wi-Fi, everything now has to consider that technology as well. So when we're sourcing these products, that's something we have to take in consideration, and especially in all the way across the board, but definitely with different generations in one house.
And again, Universal has motion.
They have technology in all of their nightstands.
The USB plugs in them for the phones and the iPads.
Yes.
I'll be happy to give you a tour. We also have washable fabrics and velvets, just in case. At great price points, as she says. And we have it available. So we'll take questions. Anyone have questions?
Yes. One over here.
Thank you for doing this panels, ladies. This is great. So we talked a lot about changes from COVID, and one of the great things that happened is everybody went to a shelter and brought home a dog. And so how are you designing for the new family fur babies?
Well, I think one of the things we talked about was also those washable fabrics, and children and pets, they're about the same. So you have to make sure that whatever you're selecting, whether it's furniture, is going to be accommodated with them. And when you got both of them in the same house, then it's even worse. But yes, making sure you take in consideration the fabrics that you're going to be using on the upholstery. We do a lot of dog beds now, especially.
Yes.
A lot of our family rooms, we incorporate those into it. Some people, whatever their pets are, we try to make sure that they have a place in that room as well. So you do have to really think about that when you're doing the design, and making sure you're incorporating some of those things into the space, hiding that litter box in the laundry room if possible. But, just trying to do different things to just to bring it up a notch, but at the same time make sure that their new family is welcome in that home too.
That's right.
So I have
Because the
another
fur
question
babies
for
are
me.
children.
So what about incorporating our workout equipment? So some of us are not going to the gym as much. We're doing the Peloton at home or the treadmills at home. And how do you incorporate that into a space if you don't have an extra room? So you're putting it into the family room. How do you incorporate that, my Peloton, into a space?
Well,
You put it in the garage.
I normally suggest we put it in the garage, right between the two cars. Those things are huge. They're gonna mess up my whole design.
But what if you
Oh
don't
my
have a
goodness.
garage?
Yeah. Well, if it's very important to them, we try to find out if we can create a space just for that. Well, you're saying you don't have a space, right?
Right.
The garage. I'm gonna answer for you.
Yeah, they get incorporated, unfortunately, in spaces that we wouldn't necessarily want to put them, but if that's where they want to have it. So typically it's going to be, I had one that I just did in a home office, and like I said, it's a huge piece of furniture, but I had to put it on a floor plan to make sure it would fit into it when we were designing the furniture. So we take it in consideration just like we do anything else that a person wants in their space, and just try to make sure we put it in there. I love the ones that have, workout equipment that folds up or goes under something and you can put it away and it's not just sitting in a room all the time. But, people have different things that they like to do and that's important to them. And so we try to just incorporate it as best we can, because, as I tell people all the time, every space is not necessarily a dream room, but it's what the client wants. So
Yes.
you have to take some of those things in consideration. And as long as they're happy with it, then that's all that matters.
Great. I'll take that in consideration. Any more questions?
Hi, you touched on this a little bit about home designs as far as construction. Could you speak a little bit more about how the different generations are wanting new homes as far as interior design? Maybe, like with the baby boomers, maybe they're looking to a one-level home, that sort of thing. The sandwich generation, what type of spaces they're looking to have designed?
So I'll start with the baby boomers. So many of them are aging in place. So they love their home. They may have designed it or redecorated it several times. We're there to help them at each and every time they do that, but they're aging in place. So we'll have to make some accommodations as they get older, as Barbara just outlined. When they're buying new, though, they're buying, in our area anyway, we're in Maryland, they're buying condos, they're buying into the very upscale 55 and older, and some of those are multi-level. They're not all single level, because today's baby boomer is healthier than past generations. So they're more active, they're walking, they're doing, so we're seeing multi-level. So they're not necessarily looking for, kind of classic retirement home space that they're gonna be in as their next move. But many of them are choosing to stay in place, which is just a huge bonus for us, huge opportunity for us.
Because a lot of those that are staying in place and in their homes, we're able to do a lot of renovations in terms of bathrooms and kitchens. I've seen such an uptick in that since COVID. And we didn't want to do it for a long time, but we've managed to learn how to do it, and we're doing it well now. So, but that is one of the things we're seeing a lot as well with the baby boomers that are staying in place and wanting to make their home they have look like newer homes. And it's a huge market right now.
We're seeing with our Gen Xers that they're going into maybe their second home, and they can be enormous, they can be humongous with all of the functions that we've been talking about, and we're encouraging that, and and finishing your basement for the Peloton and your gym. I think, everybody who has a basement, they have unfinished space. That's an awesome opportunity to finish that space for a gym, even if it's tiny, even if it's small. So our Gen Xers, we're seeing them move into their second and third home, and they're large, and we're loving that. Millennials, I'm gonna let somebody else handle them.
Well, for those millennials who can't afford a home, no, listen, we've seen a couple of types of millennials. We see the ones, the fixer-upper, the kind that either they find an existing older home and they try to do it themselves. Those are not our clients. But we also have these millennials that purchase new homes, like new builder homes or builder grade, the ones that have different packages of finishes like A, B, or C, and the finishes are very limited, and they're not always satisfied or happy with the finishes that they have to pick from. So that's a great opportunity for us to come and make their space more unique, that something that reflects their personality, something that doesn't look like the next house because they all look alike. So that's what we've seen, and we probably see this a little bit more. we saw this in the past couple of years, millennials purchasing these homes because they, the interest rates were so high that builders were actually offering really great financing. So we did see this influx of millennials purchasing these type of homes. However, they are very sterile and plain, and they are eager to get their, their style in there and make it their own. So, yeah.
Anyone? Ooh.
Well, I think I have found that you have a little bit of both. A lot of times it's because they either like their neighborhood very well, and a lot of times people think they want to downsize, and then they start looking at what they have and what they want to keep, and they're like, I don't think I can really downsize per se. And so, and when you look at the value of what I'd have to pay to get another house compared to what I have now, it makes more sense for me to stay where I am. And so that's what I'm finding with a lot of the ones we have, like I said, the ones that are aging in place, it's because they like where they are, they like their neighborhood, and they really like their house. It's just not functioning as well for them. And so they want to do that. And the other side of it is the ones that want to downsize. And so we try to catch them before they go find this house, because what happens is they go find a house and then they call and says, what am I gonna do? My stuff won't fit. And this, and it's like, well, I guess we have to buy new stuff, because that old stuff's not gonna fit. But just trying to make sure that what they want in this new home still gives them what they're used to, because they're used to having all this other space, and now they're living in half the space that they had before. And sometimes that's a little daunting for people to be able to have to give up all of that. And so that's why a lot of them decide, especially those that are healthy enough that they can still, take care of the yard and all of that is not an issue. It's just that you decide that I'm just going to stay here another 10 years instead of uprooting now and moving. But I do need some things to be a little bit more efficient for me. And so that's why they decide to stay.
And I'm sorry.
Well, she had mentioned something about whether it was, if there's not enough inventory, and that is definitely a problem because there wasn't as much building going on the past years. So a lot of people that I've known that were considering moving could not find anything of what they wanted to move to that would be a bit better than what they had. Yeah. And generally, if you're going to leave, you want to leave for something better. And what they found is that either they're way smaller, much higher in cost, not many details. So you basically would have to go to another house to really redo it to get it to where you wanted it. And it's like, why don't I just stay where I am and make this house better?
Yeah, and
so that was definitely a problem.
And pull some equity out of that, because many of them have paid off their mortgages.
Right.
So pull out equity and, go for it. What are you what are you going to do?
Leave it to those
Leave
Gen
some
Zs.
of it to your kids, but we were just talking about this. Leave some of it to your kids and your grandkids, but why not enjoy it? And so that's what we are promoting too. You deserve it. You've been working 50 years or 40 years. You deserve to have. What'd you say?
Don't leave it for them kids.
Leave some of it, but not all of it.
You're gonna sell it, get a condo anyway. Any more questions? No? Well, we want to thank you guys for coming out, and we want to thank the panel ladies. This is my first time. I was so nervous. But thank you all for coming out. Don't forget that we're at 6 to 8 weeks on our custom pieces. And we have motions. Thank you very much.